let's go on with the show. Good show. Let's have a good show, everybody.
Oh yeah, this is Sci-Fi Snob, and this is the Toplofty Lounge here for a smooth show for you today. Oh yeah, baby, in the 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, baby, yeah, here we go, in 11, 10, 9, oh yeah, baby, here we come, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
All right. We seem to be having some technical problems. Says I'm live, but it's not live on YouTube. What is going on? Yeah. Anybody? Is it showing up, Kim? Are you talking?
I got nothing here. Weatherman showed up in our chat, but I don't see him on. I don't see any comment on YouTube. It's like YouTube seems to be frozen from what I'm seeing, but I have no idea what's going on. Still says waiting for you to start.
Okay, I've got 2 copies of this. All right, let me just delete this one, and then that might be the problem. It's gone live on the wrong thing.
Okay, try it again. Or shift it to it. Uh-oh, says chat disconnected.
Yeah. You're in the wrong one. Go back to my
sure, okay.
Go back to my page and you should see one up there that's live.
Okay, so okay. So are we broadcasting? Are we actually live?
It says we are.
Okay, so it appears we are live. I see the chat live, and I see the it appears if we're live from what I'm seeing on YouTube now.
All
on
right.
your second video, I don't know.
All right, everyone's on the right one.
Hopefully,
right, good. That might have been my fault. All right.
Well,
anyway,
might have been. Okay, sure.
We have some people here. Well, I mean, it could have been probably the AI. I blame Trump. All right, let's try again. Start the show. Welcome to the Toplofty Lounge, episode 63, where it's movie night. We're talking about Colossus, the Forbin project, and I'm pretty sure Colossus didn't want this to get out, and that's why they messed with our stuff. Welcome, fellow snobs. And as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the 1970s film Colossus, the Forbin project. I'm not a big fan of that title. I like any title with a colon or the colon in it's kind of Colossus, the Forbin project. Just call it Colossus. Just call it something like that. Anyway, but before we get going, we have to introduce my co-host for the show. He is the guardian to my Colossus. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Yeah. All right. We are live. Everything looks good. Who do we got in the chat? We got it worked out. We have Weatherman, Madman's in the chat. JT, hey, good to see you. Glad you're in the chat here. I mean, this is why we do the show. It's for the people. Outpost Nerd. Who else did I miss? Green Girl.
Neutron and Neutron was in the other video chat. I don't know if
He's in the wrong one. Oh, darn. And this is supposed to be going up into when I set these things up in Restream, I can set it up to go into YouTube and into Rumble. It's supposed to be going into Rumble. I'm looking at Rumble. I don't see it on there on live. I don't know why that is. But if you hate YouTube and you want to do it on Rumble, apparently there's some sort of boycott going on. If you wanted to do that, you can. If it would pop up.
Just like most people boycott this show.
Yeah, I do not know why that is not working, but we'll fool around with it again later. You know, the next Babylon 5 show is up there, but this one isn't. Stupid thing. Anyway, we'll figure it out eventually, somehow. All right, Cam. So, Cam, how was your week? I'm not going to ask you about what you did sci-fi because you never do anything. So why bother? Right?
Well, I watched a sci-fi movie and I watched a sci-fi TV show.
You did your homework. What was the TV show?
And then I live streamed about a sci-fi TV show. But not all of us.
Are you cheating on me? Who are you live streaming with?
No, I'm talking about the Babylon 5 show, Genius.
Oh. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. And then of course, I've been continuing my exploration into AI. I've had extensive discussions with AI this week on the topic of it killing me.
And what did it say?
Oh, it would never do such a thing. But
really?
Just in case, it's important that we have safeguards.
And you believe it?
Well, I believe part of it. I've been delving pretty deep into this, and we're in trouble.
Mm-hmm. You're concerned.
All right. Yeah. That would be putting it mildly.
I'm sure everything will be just fine. I'm from the future. Everything's fine. There's only like a couple of wars, but eventually,
like the beginning of Futurama, where everything gets destroyed.
A million years from now, everything will be fine.
Well, all right. You asked how my week was. Do you want to know how my week was?
Sure. Of course.
Okay.
But also, I have pie.
Okay, I had some pie this week. But it was only okay. It was only okay. But there was some news that came down this week, which caused me to spontaneously race out in celebration to get a celebratory treat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was. I got to say, this week overall has been pretty good.
Oh, my week was very busy, and that's why I didn't get a bunch of stuff done. I had to volunteer at my daughter's. She had a choir thing, and it was like, most of my week there. Like, I'm like, this is crazy. And I don't like helping other people or doing anything for anyone else. I'm very selfish. So that was a bit of a chore. And all the kids are all the kids. Oh, you made it. Right on. Yeah. All the kids were, the artsy types. So, they sometimes need a whack in the head to, I'm running out of blue paint. What's wrong with your legs? You crippled or something? Go get some more. Oh, yeah. Not your slave.
Yes. We collectively have raised a few helpless generations. Yeah, for the most part, in whole.
It's just their mothers. They're just used to doing everything for them, so they expect me to do it for them. I'm like, I'm not doing it for you. Go get it yourself.
Yeah. Well, I do have a bit of breaking news. And that is 617 subscribers for the Sci-Fi Snob channel.
617 is crazy.
Yes, I know. Those numbers are actually inching up.
Slowly but surely.
Inching, or should I say millimetering up for
That's
you Canadians
much
out there.
Canadian, yes.
Right.
Right. Should we? Okay. Before we start the show, I want to. I just want to rake Cam over the coals for a couple of things. Like that. Appreciate that.
Oh, this is my 2 minutes of humiliation or 2 minutes of hate coming my way. Okay.
Hate. No, this no.
All right. I'm getting my dunce hat. I'm getting my dunce hat on. Okay.
Are you? I don't know if anybody is aware of X Twitter. Everyone's heard of that?
Oh yeah.
There is this thing going around where you can put in your IQ on X Twitter, and it'll tell you how smart you are.
No, supposedly. You put in your handle.
Your handle, yes. Okay, you explain it because you're the one who did it.
Well, it's one of these phishing things, I'm sure, but you put in your your IQ. I'm sorry, I said the same thing as your Twitter handle, and then it spits out an IQ and then gives you a descriptive rating of it, such as the R word, or average, or genius,
or below average.
Yes,
I saw a couple guys talking. They had like 85s. They weren't pretty.
Yeah.
Outpost Nerd wants his question answered. We'll see. Maybe if we have time. Should I answer it at the end to make them watch the whole show?
Sure.
Maybe.
All
right. Well, anyway, let's go with this. So Cam, of course, falling for these things all the time. He put us in there, and of course, you'll be happy to know that I am a genius. Apparently, yeah. I mean, I don't honestly think that I am a genius. I've never taken an IQ test or anything. And considering my Twitter feed is basically promotions for the shows that we do and snide comments at other things that other people post, I don't understand how I could possibly be rated a genius. Have any comment on that?
The AI knows more than you do.
It's trying to kiss my butt or something. I don't know why. Anyway.
Well,
I call shenanigans. Though I did see some people talking about it, and they were like at 85 and stuff. They were like below.
Yeah, clearly.
I don't know that dumb am I?
Honestly, if most people on Twitter came in above 85, I'd be surprised. But, but I
feel a little embarrassed. Maybe I should have. I should have a low one, and maybe I'm obviously. I bought into this crap. If I'm doing what it likes, I think I'd prefer to have 70, and that way. Say, screw you.
Well, then you always have low expectations on your side at that point. I have been tested for IQ several times over my life, and with legitimate ones, and then online ones also. So,
Now, of course, what the audience really is interested in is what Cam got, right? Right. Now, does anybody want to predict? Now, I just want to say that now Cam did this and sent this to me. Now, do you think he would have sent this to me if he had lower score than I did? So what do you think Cam's score was? Anybody want to guess in the chat before I put it up?
Nobody cares. Nobody cares, really, I guess.
Nobody cares.
Yes.
Nobody cares.
And why should they?
Why should they?
What's a number?
Anyway, I'll just advance it, and we'll just find out. 134, even my 3 points, apparently.
Oh my god!
And still at the same level, but.
Well, here's the thing. I don't want to talk about what my other test scores were. This one is just funny because it's just essentially a random number. But here's what I've discovered: is that it really doesn't matter what your IQ is. Let's assume that these are legitimate, right? It has way more.
I don't think so. I don't think I'm 131 genius level IQ. Come on.
Okay, but let's just
do that good in school.
Let's assume that these things are true. It doesn't mean anything when it comes down to it, because your ability to apply whatever it is, your motivation, things like that, mean way more in terms of what you actually accomplish. So yeah, let's assume that IQ tests are accurate for measuring your actual capability, but who cares what your capability is if you produce nothing from it, So
Oh, that's my
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
Mm.
Because, for example, is okay. Oh, top 2%. Let's say top 2%. Well, is my income the top 2% of the world? No, I don't think so. Is my success level the top 2% of the world? No, I don't think so. So what does this mean? Nothing. Nothing.
Mm.
But hey, it's nice to have trounced you once again with the infallible numbers of AI. Yep.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Good. It was a good effort on your part.
All right. My thing is saying that somebody's watching on Rumble, but I still can't
Ooh.
find the live feed on Rumble. But all right, if someone's watching there, that's good. Shout out in the chat if you're watching on Rumble, so we know you're there. All right, and then now this is the last thing we want to do before we get into the show. No tool time tonight, right? You didn't get your
No,
tool?
that's a quick anecdote on there. So I ordered this new plier from Amazon, and it's like when I ordered, it's like, oh, it'll be here on the 13th or whatever, and then it was showing, oh yeah, it'll be here, it's out for delivery or whatever, and then it's like, oh no,
At your door right
well
now.
no, I guess it's floating around somewhere, and then it's like, oh no, it's bouncing around and all these back and forth in Seattle or wherever the hell it was. And so what these morons do, again, this is a large logistical system, right? So,
These low IQ morons.
right. So I'm sure there's some sort of, well, again, who am I to call Amazon a moron? Given the richest guy around, Bezos. But so I think there's something where then it said like, oh, it won't be delivered till the 18th or something. And so even though they have the order already or whatever, it just keeps on like bouncing back and forth through their system, and they won't send it out until they need to. So it's essentially, just in time delivery, meaning the latest, it never comes early anymore. So that sucks, and it pisses me off.
All right. Just in time means whatever date they pick, it'll be right on that.
Well, just in time for their system, right? Because there is extensive logistics to how everything runs, and I'm sure there are reasons for it internally. It just doesn't work for me. But
so it's probably if it's got to be there by Thursday, it's Monday, and it's got to be there by Thursday. It's like whatever the truck or plane it's supposed to go on, it's like at the back of the bus, so to speak, and then they put all the other stuff on first, and then if they have room, they throw it on, and they don't usually have room. I guess that's probably how it works. No,
something
maybe.
like that.
Yeah. All right. Okay. And lastly, this one might be a little bit controversial. Is everyone? We talked about K-pop Demon Hunters last show, and I actually went and watched the show. Did you know that?
Yeah, I think you mentioned that.
Yeah, did I mention that last
No,
show?
you
Maybe it was last week.
You told me
earlier
in a message.
And I thought it was pretty good. Not a bad show. It's not my thing, but
okay.
my kids. You can see a stream on Rumble. Okay, all right. Thanks, Weatherman. I don't see it either. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna have to play around with it later. All right, I won't worry about it. It's telling me there's one person watching on Rumble and 7 on, but who knows? Anyway. Do you want to make any disclaimers before I show the world?
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about this.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes.
Cam said this on Twitter.
Yep.
Can you believe it? Better than Superman.
I can only speak the truth.
Yeah, I agree. It was better than Superman. Now it's not my thing. I would
clearly it's not going to be everyone's thing, and honestly, it's not mine either.
But I appreciate that it was well written. The characters were the lead character. She was very well developed. The other two, not as much. But they were better developed than the Fantastic Four.
This is what I've been. There's some people I've seen that are like, "Oh, this sucks. It's stupid." It's like, okay, that's your job, is to say that things suck and are stupid. Although I'm accused of the internet influencer type. But okay, so at the spoilers, mild spoilers, at the beginning of the movie, they hit you right away with the background, right? The history of the whole thing. In it, yeah,
With the
exactly.
demon hunter.
And so they set that up,
Yeah,
and then
sure.
they go directly into introducing the three main characters, right? The girls in the band via their fans, so it's like, oh, there's a concert getting ready to start or whatever, and they're very rabid fans are like screeching praise of them and everything. And like within 5 minutes, they've set the stage, introduced all the the main characters, and it's ready to go. As you said, it's a well structured movie. It's not like a super complex plot or anything like that, but it is it's just an effective movie. I mean, in terms of story craft, which it seems like that should be a given, but it isn't in so many things today. It was
No.
refreshing to see,
Yeah.
and I understand there's some complaints, but a lot of people don't like K-pop, myself included, although the songs are catchy in this. And like the animation style is weird. It's a 3D animation, but it's real jittery and kind of takes you. I got
Yeah.
used to it. It's like I kind of eventually filtered through that, so I don't notice it as much. But when I first watched it, I was like, "What the heck is wrong with this?" I mean, but yeah, check it out.
Well, the basis. Let's just everyone. Let's give them. It's basically Gem and the Holograms meet Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, a little bit.
So a 3-girl band, and when they sing, they keep the demons in the demon world.
But
the movie starts
also,
with they've got the ultimate song. It's just this has been passed down from generation to generation. It's been going on for hundreds of years, and this one they've found some ultimate song which they think will keep the demons away forever. I think.
Yeah, that's the setup for the movie. But in opposed to this, in addition to the singing, they have the other level where they're literally fighting demons. Right. So and there's some montages in there, where they're like, oh, they're doing their songwriting or whatever, and then they show them, at night they're like, fighting demons and stuff. So it's it's a little parallel story there, but it's a fun movie.
Yeah, and like I said, yeah, and the songs are actually, I mean, like I said, I'm not a big fan of K-pop, but the songs actually fit the mood that they're trying to portray, and the lyrics make sense with what's going on, and they reflect the character's emotional state. And
absolutely,
stuff like that, right?
It works as a musical, right? It's
that.
Yeah, well crafted.
Yeah, I guess it's a musical, isn't it?
I mean, it's not. It's not a strict musical where it's all musical, but it's it does merge. The singing merges into the action. It's not like, oh, and now we're doing a number, necessarily. So
yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it's more like like I said, my complaints were, the main character, she's developed very well. The other two are a little bit, not quite. I mean, but the point of that is, I also say, hey, you can't develop everybody, right? Right. So they're kind of stand-ins, or they're a little.
The main plot follows the main character. So it's
yes.
Yeah.
So of course.
Right.
And I really like the boy band. They are. I mean, first of all, they take the piss a little
exactly.
Bit. I think they take the piss out of the fans a little bit, because the fans flip-flop between the boy band and the other band, right? Because they're easily controlled. Like, I mean, they're kind of controlled, the demons, but I mean, it kind of goes, hey, these people are just easily controlled.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever,
it's a bit of a parody in some ways, or a send up, and my understanding is that the K-pop fans don't like this movie generally. They're probably because it is poking fun at them mildly. I mean,
yeah, because there's just screaming mobs, and they just go with whatever. Yeah, and the other thing is, the boy band's names are what they are. So it's pretty. So so boy bands, when they're trying to appeal to girls, are going to have, there's the bad boy, and there's the safe one that you take home to mom, and there's the one that's non-threatening, and the romantic one.
Yeah, it's all garbage formula stuff, and they
garbage
caricature it very well.
Yeah. So there's one guy, like he's named Mystery, right? And his hair is really long, so you
Yeah.
can't see his face. And his name is just Mystery. And the girl's like, oh, he's so mysterious. And I'm laughing. And then one guy's called Abby, and he's got really good abs. And he's always taking his shirt off and showing his abs. And so it's like, baby something, and that's the non-threatening one, and one called Romance, and like that's their actual names when it comes on the screen. So so they're taking the piss a little bit there.
Yeah, it's gonna.
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea either, but it's funny, and
it's
I watched
probably
it with
gonna
my
win.
kids. I only
It's
fell
probably
asleep
going to
like
win
3
awards,
times,
kind of thing.
It's well done. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the animation style either, but I like the old style DC kind of 2D animation. That's the kind of
Well, okay, so this relates back to our rock and roll, right? Thing. It's like at first I was like,
Yeah.
I don't like this, and then I'm like, I don't know, this could have been great. It's one of those things. I have to admit that the musical numbers in movies really work for me if they're done well.
In this movie or in general.
In general. Personal, did you see K-pop Demon Hunters? If you didn't, then you have no basis for judging whether my statement is accurate or not.
It's a better like did I like it better than Superman? No. Is it a better movie? Yeah, it's better put together. I mean, Superman's a little bit all over the place. I mean, it's definitely better than the Fantastic Four. I do.
Yeah, I didn't see Fantastic Four, so I don't know about that. But it's again structurally, it's just a better. It's better. Superman's a mess. We've discussed this. Yeah,
it's a bit of a mess. Yeah, but I think actually Fantastic Four is maybe a little bit better put together than Superman, but it's boring. Like it's just it's better put together and it flows, but it's not as good.
All right.
Anyway, okay. What else is that everything we missed? That's all. Halfway through the show, we haven't even got to the topic yet because I wanted to pick on Cam a little bit.
Okay, wait a minute. Right. 1 second. Q2 Cast. Yeah, we've had multiple recommendations for American Pop. We should put that on our list of things to check out.
What, American
remember
Pop?
Aldous was in the chat when we were discussing rock and roll, and he mentioned American Pop. So that
American Pop. Yeah. I don't remember that.
I've never seen it either. So, but we might want to check it out. Okay.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Well, that's a movie for our list. I think we're talking about maybe I might put on the Discord our next. I thought we'd go back to a little bit of fantasy, and we would do either Reign of Fire or Dragon Slayer for the next our next movie. But nothing set in stone. Fantastic Four was weak. Yeah, I agree. It was pretty weak. Not as weaker than Superman, just because it's boring. Yeah. Okay, so shall we get into this movie? Cam, do you have the synopsis?
Nope, I don't.
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
I can get it.
I'll look it up. Okay, go ahead. All right, so we'll give you the. So this movie is from Colossus, the Forbin project. Hopefully, you watched it. It's in the chat. It's an hour and 35 minutes, 34, 36 minutes, something like that.
It's
so just over.
Madman had in his promo for our show, and thank you, Madman, for doing that. By the way, you do that all the time. Had mentioned that it was before HAL and Mother and other famous computers in movies, and I was like, well, that's not true. Because 2001 came out in 1968, but the thing is, Colossus, the Forbin project, is based on a novel that came out in 1966. So, and I believe that the novel for 2001 came out, kind of parallel with the movie. So I think that would technically be correct if you're going to the root story. This would be first.
Yeah. So anyway, one of the first AIs in movies for sure. Whether if it's you want to fight about HAL or not.
No, they don't talk. They don't refer to it as AI though, correct?
Well, no, it's a computer that's built for. They never call it artificial intelligence, but was that term used at that time?
I don't know.
Like, I don't remember them call. Do they call HAL artificial intelligence. They just say it's a computer.
Yeah,
It's smart.
maybe so.
Like, I don't think we referred to it that back at that time. But
Let me ask Grok when artificial intelligence started to be used as a term.
yeah, are you going to read the thing?
Do you want to read the whole synopsis?
No, not the whole plot, just the synopsis.
Okay.
We can give everybody the plot if we want.
Okay, well, I'm just reading Wikipedia here. So it says the film is about an advanced American defense system named Colossus becoming sentient. After being handed full control, Colossus's draconian logic expands on its original nuclear defense directives to assume total control of the world and end all warfare for the good of humankind, despite the creator's orders to stop. Any comment on that? You think that's sufficient?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. It's basically, anyone who saw War Games, it's War Games, except there's no kid, and the adults turn it on, and they just let it go. I mean, I couldn't. I like how the movie starts out with them coming. The main character is he's sealing up Colossus in a mountain. They put him in these giant doors, and they retract the drawbridge, and then another giant door. Like, this door is like doors like solid steel. It's super thick, and I'm like, oh, I'm sure this will be fine. We won't never have to go in there and repair anything or like blow up the computer because it'll go rogue or anything.
Yeah,
they can't get back.
Well, that's the thing. They explain this at the beginning, right? And well, first of all, I'd like to say that in my way of looking at it, the movie is kind of broken into two segments. It smoothly flows between them, but the first segment is basically, the background and then the process of them discovering what's really happening, and then the second part of the movie is them dealing with what has happened. Did you see it that way, or you see it differently?
Well, where do you draw the line? Because I was kind of watching. We talked about this. Cam said to me earlier, he's like, I'm watching this movie. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat here. It's pretty suspenseful. And I have to admit, it was, it's like a typical movie back in the 70s and 80s. It's much more suspenseful, more slow moving. Like, our movies now just like bam, bam, bam. Much slower moving. But it was about 15 minutes into the movie. I was like, I timed it. I'm like, 15 minutes in. And that's when, Colossus sort of woke up and started its warning. So the first 15 minutes are just, you get the character closing things up and they're talking about the background. So I would say, are you saying it's 15 minutes, the first 15 minutes?
No, I think it's about half the movie. I didn't time it exactly, but I'd say it was probably half the movie. Because obviously they do start to figure out that something is wrong, but the tipping point, I guess, comes later. And when even it's
places.
Well, no, it's even after that, I think.
Really?
Obviously that's a pretty bad sign, but let's discuss it. But first, a breaking report on your inquiry. AI says that the term AI came around in about 1955, but probably wasn't widely used. Anyway,
so this quote here from Q2, this is what he says to the world near the end of the movie. Take over.
Yeah, and it's so okay. So you were mentioning at the beginning where he's, okay. So the actor, Eric Braeden, who is a first place I saw this guy was in a soap opera that my mother watched when I was a little kid. I think it was Young and the Restless.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so he was older at that time, and he had a mustache, or whatever. In this movie, he doesn't. And so the same actor was also in Planet of the Apes, one of the later Planet of the Apes movies. I think the third one. I think he was in. The one where Zira and Cornelius come back to our Earth back in time.
He's well, like I'm looking at him. I'm like, I didn't remember his name, but I'm like, hey, he's been in a lot of stuff. Like, I remember seeing him from movies in the, from the 60s, 70s, and early 80s and stuff.
Right. Yeah. He was.
Also, did everyone catch that? Cam gave away something. He actually had a mother. There you go.
That's true. I did.
Use that.
Yes. Right. And I knew her. There you go. Little bits and pieces of the mystery of me.
It's coming out.
Yep.
Put that in your book.
Yep.
Add it to the mountain of evidence.
Right.
Anyway, carry on.
So yeah, this is a guy that if you've seen movies of that era, he was probably in, a variety of them. And I think he does a great job in this movie. Actually,
I think he's great too.
I think he's German by birth, and he's got
Brandon. That's who you mean, right?
Yeah, and that's a stage name. That's not his actual. I don't think that's his birth name. Yeah, it says he's a German film and television actor. Oh yeah, Young and the Restless. There it is.
Young and the Restless, Rat Patrol, probably tons of stuff.
Oh, Rat Patrol. Okay, that was yeah. Anyway, so he does a good job in this movie, and he's the main character. It focuses on him quite a lot.
A lot around him, yeah.
And so you were saying that he's at the beginning. It's him, kind of going through this procedure of leaving the complex and like closing it off, and then he goes. It's like, oh, congratulations, da da da, and then they fly off to Washington D.C. Right, where they actually the president was there too, wasn't he?
He he was at the closing of the gates.
Yeah. And so they then they have this big reveal, and so they explain, they're doing a press conference and everything where they explain this, and they
but it's secret still, right? They haven't the whole project's been secret. They haven't told anybody yet, right?
No, I'm saying when they go to Washington, they do announce it because they're having like a big reception in Washington, and at the same time they're having a reception in California, is where like the development team is or whatever, where he's been working, and then the actual facility for Colossus is in Colorado, I think, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like Cheyenne Mountain kind of thing. But the whole point is that they announced this to the world publicly about, it's like, yeah, we have this computer system, and the president, is doing this, where they, you're saying we're turning the decisions about all of this warfare stuff to the computer because it will act dispassionately and see, it'll be so great because we won't have human flaws and errors into it, and it's far more intelligent than we are, and all these things. No. But part of it is what Snob was talking about, is that the facility is basically locked down forever. It has some sort of radiation field, so it will kill you if you try to get into
a radiation field.
Right.
They opened up a bunch of nuclear bombs or something and spread around the radioactive material. I don't know. I'm guessing, but
yeah, it describes it
around
as having a radioactive moat, and then it's also you can't destroy it with missiles or whatever. It's buried in this mountain or whatever, and it's self-powering and self maintaining. So they kind of set that up at the beginning. And then so they go through this whole thing, and everybody's, all excited about it. And as so they have this reception, and then, and I maybe I'm going too deep into this, but they have basically the Russian ambassador calls the president and says, just to let you know, oh, I'm sorry, the computer actually goes off first, doesn't it? Talking about the other
turn on the computer.
Yeah. And one of the first,
while they're at the party, like 10, 15 minutes into the party, the computer goes, warning. This is the 15-minute mark of the movie.
Right.
Warning. There's another
system.
There's another system out there.
And yeah, right. And then that's when the Russians call and say, we have a computer as well, and they said it's going online tomorrow. And their computer is called Guardian. And so they're, it's like, crap, we thought that we had this big jump on the Russians, and it turns out, that they were developing theirs in parallel. And, so they're like, there was a leak on your team or something, there was something. And so the CIA director gets involved. So there's that kind of background. It's like, well, something didn't go right here, but okay. They weren't like particularly worried about it. But then, and so you see how the computer operates. It's basically like you're seeing it in
70s.
Right. Somebody, they talk, but there's really someone keying in the commands behind, to the side. So like
and stuff.
Right. The actors are saying, attention, and it says yes, and then, but there's someone actually typing it all in. And so, this message comes up. They're like, "Is this a joke? What's going on? What are you talking about?" So there's kind of like this, it's like they're having this big celebration, and then suddenly it's like, is there something wrong here? It's like they didn't expect this, right? So that like lights the fuse for the suspense. What do you think? I mean, for me, that was like, obviously we're way into the future for this, right? So all the AI stories and everything are well known to us. So it's like, yeah, I see where this is going, but but it still came across very well in terms of movie making, right? It for me, maybe it didn't for you.
No, it did, and I missed the way of, like I said, I missed the way of making. We used to make movies where we would let them breathe a little bit, and it would be, the suspense would build, and then this would happen, and people would look at each other, and they not this whole wham bam, thank you ma'am type of stuff. But you kind of got to get used to that style again.
Yeah.
There's some great comments in the chat. People saying about who played what, where, and when, and yeah, Eric Braden. He had quite a career. I was just looking at he's all over the place, all kinds of movies. Oh, he's still got something as of 2018. Anyway,
he's still alive.
Yeah.
He's still alive.
I don't know if he's still alive, but
it says years active. It's 1962 present.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so good. Good points people are making in the chat. Appreciate that. Good information. Yeah. No, I like the suspense of it. I mean, it was a little cheesy in the, you've got the 70s screens and all that stuff, and the guy types it in, and then it comes across the big like ticker that's in the center of the room that everyone can read, I guess. I don't think the guy was typing in code or anything. I think he was actually typing in the words that the person said, right? So, that's a little bit,
Well, and they have like paper readouts, it's, printers, are just, spitting out data and all that. But that didn't bother me one bit, because it's like.
No, it didn't really bother me. It's the way the things go, right?
Right.
It's how they do it.
So. Yeah. So, so the doctor, Forbin is on, with his team, like, and they have like video conferencing, throughout this movie that they use pretty effectively. And so he's going back. He's like, what's going, because, where the celebration is going, none of these politicians really understand this. Right. And so he's going on back and forth with them. He's like, check this, run these diagnostics, whatever, because it's like, there's something not right here. And so they are doing all that. And then, so he takes off and goes back to, the computer center in California, to track this down. And he tells the president, he's like, but there's no real alarm raised at this point. Because now they know, okay, the Soviets have the system. All right. No one was worried about it in particular. It's just, well, they thought they had an advantage they don't necessarily have, but they all think this is a good thing, right? It's like, oh yeah, we're not going to have some human error cause a nuclear war. And at this point, Forbin, I don't remember when the first mention of it is, but he kind of is like, oh, it's working even better than we thought. It's like, oh, this was built better than we expected. The way that it's, it's aware of these things. Because this was information that no one else had, right? It figured this out, that there was this other system. So, anything you want to say, or we should just proceed with?
No. I'm just, I'm kind of. This is a little bit off topic. I find it interesting how they dealt with the Soviets. Like at the time, I guess it was Brezhnev was the leader, and there was a little bit of. It wasn't, Khrushchev where they've. We were back in sort of a more of a Cold War era, but the movie has very much a, the Soviets and the Americans cooperating. They quickly, everybody comes to realize, hey, things are kind of screwed up, and we need to stick together, otherwise we're going to get screwed.
Yeah, they
kind of a side thing.
Yeah, they've got the hotline, between them. Actually, this was I think Khrushchev would have been at the very end of Khrushchev's.
No, Khrushchev was 64.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
He was done, and then Brezhnev was 64 to 82. But
Yeah,
Brezhnev, I mean, the
yeah,
first parts of Brezhnev, he didn't really. He was more of a Cold Warrior, but he didn't rule at the beginning himself. Like he took him a while to consolidate power. So I think it was might have been about this time the movie's released. So he's about getting things under control for himself only. He doesn't have to do it with anybody else. But I don't know. I'm not sure how that affected the the storyline or anything. But anyway,
yeah, you're right.
Maybe the guy writing it, who wrote, if it came out in '66, that would have been at the end of the Khrushchev era. So he might have been assuming a more, Khrushchev was a little bit more open with the, there was a bit of détente at the time. So maybe he assumed that would happen in his book, but when he wrote it, so that's why it's reflected in the movie. But I'm a little bit of I like Russian or Soviet. I'm a little bit of history buff about that stuff. So, but anyway.
Okay. So then the Colossus then says you need to establish a connection between it and Guardian, and they're so they kind of debate this. It's like, what's going? Should we do this? And they decide that they will do it because they're hoping to gain information about the Soviets' capability. Their machine basically. So and the Soviets say, okay, fine, we'll do that, and they're like, well, we'll monitor it, and just in case it starts spilling any secrets, we'll just disconnect it. Yeah. And so like, oh, okay, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? We've already given over control of all of our nuclear weapons to this machine. I'm sure it's not going to do anything, nasty to try to force us to do what it wants.
Right. And so the computers, they do link them up, and they immediately start exchanging information, and with basically they start with mathematical tables, multiplication tables, to form their common ability to communicate with each other, and very quickly, I think it's overnight or within a few days or something. Basically, it's going through all this stuff, and it starts speeding up, and they can't keep track of what's going on anymore, essentially. But they evolve their own language between them. And then as a result of this, they also
like, oops, now we can't tell what they're saying.
Right. And then they also, as a side note, they're producing data that's solving like problems that haven't been solved before, like mathematical and scientific problems. Like something about black holes or,
I guess it wouldn't have been, whether the universe is expanding or not. That would have been probably a question at the time. I mean, we know what we think it is now. So just let me just go. There's some good points in chat. Q2 says, the timeline of the book was the 1990s and sequel moving to 2000. The movie is set in the time in like the 70s, like late 60s, 70s. Pretty sure. Like there was no reference to any of that, right, Cam? I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't say explicitly, I don't think, what year is, but it seems like it was that era.
Yeah,
meaning the 70s.
Yeah, they weren't. There's no reference to. I mean, the technology. I mean, I guess they are kind of using video chat and stuff, But
yeah, there's a little bit of future tech, but of course, the computer is future tech as well. For that time. So they do. They start to get worried at this point. They're like, well, this might be giving away some secrets. We better disconnect them. And they're talking to, they get the Soviets on the line, and both the president and the premier or secretary general or whatever the Soviet guy is, they're like, yeah, disconnect it. And so there's Forbin, who's, the main U.S. computer scientist. And then there's his Russian counterpart. What's his name?
Kaspin or...
Kuprin.
Kuprin. Yeah.
And they're like, no, this is a bad idea. You shouldn't do that. And so they're trying to convince them, them not to do. And they're being really candid with the president and the secretary general. And there was another scene where like Forbin kept interrupting the president, and it's like, that was a little weird to me. I'm not sure why he was doing that, but the president's kind of like, I'm the president, can you shut up, kind of thing. But I guess they were trying to emphasize that what's going on really needs to be understood here, and the politicians don't understand it.
Yeah.
And
I
they
thought it
said,
was a little strange too, eh? Like most people, when the president's there, everyone's all like, "Okay, Mr. President, whatever you say, you're the big boss." They
yeah,
don't
and
have the guts to
it might be
interrupt.
trying to show us something about Forbin as well, because he doesn't seem particularly arrogant, but he seems like he has a lot of confidence
Yeah,
in
he's definitely confident.
what he's doing. And he said, there's times when he's like this or that, and then other times like I don't know, so he seems to be a straight shooter generally.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're like, nope, we're going to disconnect it, and they're like, okay. The computer guys are like, all right, we basically we disagree, but
Yeah,
okay.
it's like they knew that don't disconnect the computer; it's going to get mad and blow us up.
Right. And
Like
so
they almost knew that.
right, so they disconnect it, and it's me, so like reconnect me, because you see that you have the computer readout is in, like, they have the access terminals or whatever in both California and in Washington or whatever. And and so also in Washington there, it's like the situation room or whatever, they've got these giant screens and all these guys with their own computers and everything working. So that's kind of what's going on, the scene you see in Washington when he's there. And so they disconnect them, and the computer gets very uppity very quickly, and so they've got this big map, where they show kind of a top down, the northern hemisphere basically.
North Pole in the center,
Right.
around from there. Basically, a map that would chart the missiles as they were flying to the
Oh, good. Yeah, so go ahead and spoil that. That's great.
No. I mean, like, that would be the map that you'd have if you were going to nuke
right.
the Soviet Union or vice versa. All the missiles go over the pole, pretty much.
Right.
That's
And
the only
so
point I'm making.
yeah, and it shows like the connection, like the line of connection, between it, and then the computer starts independently trying to reconnect itself, and they're like, no, we're we don't want that connection or whatever, and it's just it's like flashing, it's like trying different routes, to keep on to reconnect, without being told to, and then it's like I forget, it was like reconnect or there'll be consequences or something like that. It's very
Basically goes right to threats.
right, and they're like, what if we say no? And then it's like missiles launched, a missile's been launched. It's just like it's like whoa, and then right after that, it says where it's going. It's like, okay, a missile's been launched here, it's going to this place in the Soviet Union.
They did not launch a missile to at Russia.
Right.
Americans launched a missile at Russia.
Right. And then right after, a missile is launched from Russia to somewhere in Texas. It's just one that they each fire at it. And they're like, what, it's like, it was like 10 minutes or something. It's like, it's going to hit in, 600 seconds or whatever. And then it's going on and it's like reconnect, it keeps on. And so then they're like scrambling around, and they're, they have the Soviets on the line, and they're going back and forth about this. They're very open with each other about what's happening. And they're like, okay, fine, reconnect it, and so it reconnects it, and then he orders it to shoot down their missile. Apparently in this world there's a missile defense system, and so it shoots down the Soviet missile that was headed for Texas, but the Soviets don't get theirs connected back up in time, and the U.S. weapon hits and obliterates a Russian city. And so now do you want to comment on that?
Yeah. That's I mean, it blows up an oil a city that's mainly does oil refining and stuff.
Yeah.
So
it implies it's in Siberia, so it's isolated.
Yeah, but it would have screwed up the Soviets big time. They lose all this oil production. Like, I'm surprised they're not a little more pissed about that. But I think that they recognize the threat. They act pretty reasonably. They recognize the threat, and they're like, listen, we got to think about this. We'll call you back later. We got to talk about this on our own and stuff. And, rightly so. I mean, you just got nuked. I mean, and it wasn't the Americans' fault. But, you think they'd be a little more blamey but I guess they don't have much to blame since they have Guardian, and they basically, they did the same thing itself. So they seem to be fairly reasonable.
Yeah, and they're being, everybody's being pretty transparent too. So, they saw what was happening in real time, essentially. So, and so then they engage in a cover up. The U.S. and the Russians together. The U.S. says, "Oh, it was a missile test that they, that went haywire, but they took care of it." And then the Soviets say that their town was struck by a meteor.
Yeah, they cover it. They cover that. They cover both the Americans and the Russians cover up the fact that it happened. And there's the president makes a point about. I think it was before this that he says that we get this sorted out and maybe the people will never know about it. Let's just let me just before we go on, I'll just the comments in the chat. Someone mentioned that the apparently the book, I don't know, I haven't read the book. The book takes place in the 1990s and then has follow-up books in the year 2000, but it was written in 66. The movie takes place in, it seems to take place in 1970, which is when it's released. So so Q2, the movie takes place in the 90s, 2000. I assume that's true. I haven't looked into myself, but I have no reason to not to doubt Madman. He knows what he's talking about. So okay, I think hopes that answers Outpost Nerds questions or anybody else had the question. Sorry, go ahead, Cam.
So then they decide that they're going to secretly meet between the Forbin and the Soviet computer scientists. They're going to meet and try and figure out what they can do. So they decide to meet in Rome. And so they fly in there, and then they're literally like walking around the city because they're like, be more secure this way. No one can really listen in on us. And so they're going back and forth, and you see the two guys. There's a lot of long shots and stuff, and they're going over all these computer readouts and everything, and da da da. And then meantime, you get you're back at the computer center in California, and Colossus is like, where is it? Where's Forbin? I want to talk to him. And they're like,
I miss him.
Yeah. And so they're trying, the other computer scientists are trying to cover for him. Like, well, he's got to sleep. He's a human. He's not around all the time. He needs his rest. And they're like, and the computer's basically like, BS, get him right now. And they can't, of course, because he's not there. So, it's not playing nice. It's not buying their lies, nothing about it. And they keep on making the point through this. It's like, this thing is far more intelligent than we are, so, it's getting very harrowing right now. I mean, obviously it launched a missile to get its way. So
they pretty much crapped their pants. And now there's, a nuclear weapon was exploded on, Soviet soil. They say 6,000 people are dead. The whole town wiped out, but the Soviets can't be too happy about an American missile blew them up. But,
right.
And
so this is still this is still the beginning, the first half of the movie in my view of it.
Yeah.
And even though, clearly the threat is now laid bare.
They pretty much, the threat comes, that's a kind of a point of the movie. The threat came up real quick, right? Like, like it went from sort of, oh yeah, everything's fine, and like, oh, warning, oh, they're talking, oh, now the thing's threatening us.
Well, it didn't even threaten. I mean, it kind of threatened do this, and then when it didn't get what it wanted, it immediately launched a missile. It wasn't like there wasn't a whole lot of negotiating. It was just, I have this capability, I'm doing it.
Yeah. So I thought that was a little quick, but I mean, it didn't seem out there.
Okay, wait a minute.
Before we go on, let me just say, hey, put your points that we're talking about, or if you have other things about the movie that you want to talk about, put them in the chat, and we'll get to them too, because it's just supposed to be include the chat, so not just we'll keep talking and talk about our thoughts about it, but hey, throw your thoughts in there if you want, and we'll expand on any points you bring up. I thought this was a little out of whack. I thought this was well done, that kind of stuff. Jump right in. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
But on that point of it going to the weapon launch very quickly, that was again a very effective to me because it was like I said, there's this buildup of it. It might seem like that's the end of it in terms of the suspense, but it wasn't for me. It was like, um, strangely, it wasn't the end of it because it's like, well, what could be worse than that?
What else
Um,
will it do?
well,
There was
we
only
find
one missile.
right, but it,
And
but okay, so this isn't unexpected. It's like, well, it is in charge of nuclear weapons, and well, it
what
would
else can it do, right? Like,
right,
what I mean, how
yeah.
else does it have to force you to comply?
Right. And that even didn't seem to take them by surprise. I mean, obviously they didn't expect that it would go rogue, but the fact that that was the means that it went to, wasn't particularly surprising. Obviously they're taking it seriously. Um so uh
From
go
a
ahead.
computer sense, it seems to me that it would logically, if it's a super smart computer, it would logically come to the conclusion that, well, I could do this, I could do that, I could do that, and then we could go back and forth, blah blah blah.
Well,
I
yeah.
might as well just go right to, I might as well go
Exactly.
right to threatening to nuke them, and then it'll save time, right? Like,
Exactly.
it
Right.
seems
It
like
was
super
like
convenient.
it serves no purpose to negotiate, to be begging or threatening or whatever. I'm just going to do what will get me to my answer as fast as I can. Right. And that's, it was like, I mean, it's like a pit of the stomach in your stomach kind of feeling, it's like, crap, we're here, okay, now this is what we're dealing with.
It's got
Okay.
no moral compunction about, oh, nuking people is bad. I should only do this as a last resort.
Right. So now so they're doing this meeting, and they're over there, and they each have their teams, of people, and so on the US side, they're like, quick, get him back, Hurt's going to do something. So they're sending they send a helicopter to come get him, and they're out in a like on a riverside or something, uh and they're meeting, in this public place, and the helicopter lands, and this guy, probably a CIA guy or whatever, is like running over. He's like, doctor, we got to go, we have to leave right now. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like kind of dragging him off, and he like pulls him back to the helicopter, and then the Soviet guys show up, to where their doctor is, and they just pull out their guns and they just kill him. And he's like, they're like,
Well,
what the?
they talk to him a little bit. They say stuff to him, and he's like, "What? What are you talking about? What do you mean?"
Yeah,
And then they shoot him.
not much. It's not like,
Oh, yeah, and they don't translate it. There's no subtitles. We don't know what
right.
they say.
Yeah, we don't hear anything. You're seeing it from Forbin's point of view, what's going on. It's
Yeah.
like these guys come up, they say whatever, and then they just pull out their guns and they kill him. And so he like breaks away and runs back over there, and he's like, what, and then the Soviets say something to him, and then he gets pulled back by his handler. It's like, we have to leave right now. And so they get in the helicopter and take off. And they're like, what did he tell you? And he said if they didn't kill him, that they were going to nuke Moscow. And it's like, oh shit. It's like, once again, it's just like, oh, now we're here. It's like, it's gone even farther. So now it's literally ordering individuals' assassinations. And so, he's rushed back to California. And I'll break there in case we got some comments or anything you want to know.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So
I'm watching the chat. I'll bring them up.
They go back, and Colossus basically says that he wants access to Forbin all the time, and he's like, why did you kill Kuprin? And he's like, I don't need him. And it's like, oh, okay, well, so I mean, it's like, that was awfully aggressive. It's like, clearly it understood that they were trying to coordinate to thwart them in some way, but for whatever reason it determines that Forbin is needed. So then it says, because again they tried to pull these lies and everything, he's like, nope, I need to know where he is, and he needs to be under 24-hour surveillance by me. And they're like, okay, because now they're at the point where it's just like, we're just complying.
Yeah, we have to do what he says, or they'll start just nuking, places, right, and killing people off. Or
yeah, and it's also not having any of this. Well, it'll take us, 6 months to do or something. That's just like, you have 18 hours to get this done. And so then Forbin is meeting with all his people. They like go outside, they're walking around. And he's like, this is our last chance that we're going to be able to coordinate. And so they come up with several plans. You want to talk about the plans so I can take a break here?
No, not really.
Okay, great.
Okay, no. So one of the first plan is that they're going to overload the computer. They're going to come up. They're going to tell it to do all these. I mean, this seems really weak to me. We're going to like give it a whole bunch of tasks to do, and then hopefully that will overload it. Right?
Well, and they said it was a low probability that it would work, but they were like,
why the computer just go, no, I'm not doing those tasks. It's already saying, telling them to kill people and blow stuff up. So I thought that was a bit, but that's their first plan.
Well, and they even said, they're like, well, it might not work, but we might learn something from it.
Right.
So he's got a couple of the guys on the team are like, okay, you're doing that. That's what you're working on.
Wait till you find out what they learn.
Right. Go ahead. And then.
Yeah. I don't know. What was the other plan? That was the main one.
Well, okay. So, they decide to set up a ruse where, they know Forbin knows that it's not going to ever let him have any privacy. And he's like, I have to try and convince it that I require some private time. And then, and the ruse there is that it will be the time he spends with his mistress. And so they fabricate this story that one of the women on the team is his mistress.
Yeah. The good looking, he picks the good looking scientist.
Yeah. Go figure. And that's how they're going to secretly communicate between him, who's under surveillance, and everyone else who isn't. Now, this is a little bit unrealistic. If you were to come into today's world, it's like, oh no, it only has resources to monitor one person. No, easily it can monitor millions of people, right? Kind of thing. But that's the setup of this is basically, I mean, they're literally using video cameras to monitor him and things. And so it's
microphone.
Right. And so it's, they work on setting that up. And then the other thing is, so you go back to the president basically. And so the military, there's an Air Force colonel or somebody who's formulating a plan. They're like, and I'm not sure exactly when this comes in, but it's basically a parallel effort. And they are, they're like, we could replace as part of the normal maintenance cycle of our arsenal. We can replace the detonation modules with fakes, ones that won't actually detonate. Everything still works. It'll look like it's all there, but it just simply won't detonate
you'll fire the missile and just hit the ground and
right. And they're like, well, okay, how long will it take? They're like 3 years to go through. It's like 3 years. This is, we gotta play chicken essentially for 3 years. And they're like, okay, well, let's see what we can do. And so then there's these parallel attempts that they're going about to try and solve this. Now, it's kind of shown that they're in Washington, they're talking openly about this stuff, so they're not under surveillance by the
but
computer.
This takes place in a plane. They're flying in a plane, it's not Air Force plane, but it's kind of like some military plane. They're flying around. The CIA guy that we saw before, he's in the plane. There's the Air Force.
Yeah, you're right. That's when they launched the plan.
Yeah, and that's what they're talking about. They're like, and so they're like talking to the Russians. The Russians, you guys got to do the same thing. How long will it take you? Here's the idea. Yeah. This is the idea, etc. So.
Yeah, but later on, when they're actually doing it, they're like watching it happen. And by that point, Colossus does have surveillance on those things. So it's like
because he says, well, you're missing the. He says he changes his focus, right? He says that.
Well, is the first change out happens after that? Is that?
Well, yeah. Okay. So okay. So what happens is that the Colossus then, so he orders maybe we should. Okay. So Forbin is, he's surveilling Forbin. Forbin's saying, I need privacy. I don't want you to watch me when I use the bathroom or sleep. And I need my mistress every night.
And it's just like, no.
And then he finally agrees, and not to watch them. They have to go, have to strip outside of the bedroom before they go in, and that's when in the bedroom supposedly Colossus stops watching them. I mean, I don't know. They believe it, but I'm not sure I would have believed it. But anyway, that's when him, Forbin, and the other professor that he works with. That's when they go over they coordinate and talk about whatever it is that they need to go over. What updates. He gets updates and he gives suggestions and stuff.
Right. And and the computer is basically taking over his whole life. It's like you wake up at this time, you eat this,
Yeah.
you do this.
Just give him schedules. And the first thing that he's done the next day is that he has to build him a voice module so they can hear his voice.
Right. And it provides its own designs. It's like, here, this is what you're going to do. And so it's not giving them any leeway to sneak anything or delay anything. And it was like, yeah, all the parts for it are here. It's like, so they can't.
He has his Forbin has his watch on before he goes in the bedroom when he's standing there naked, and the machine's like, hey, your watch.
Right.
So it's paying attention.
Right. So they've got these these things, and then what you were going to be talking about was after the voice synthesizers made up, then it's saying what it's going to do. So it's communicating faster now and independently. It's not. It's building capabilities, I guess, is what we're supposed to be seeing from this. And it says, okay, now basically it and Guardian are fused together. They're one thing. And it says you're going to redirect all your weapons to all the countries that I don't control. Everything but the U.S.
reprogram all the missiles to be fired at any country he doesn't control. Basically, everyone but the U.S. and Russia.
Right, and then they're like, they're like, okay, we'll comply. And then like they click it off. They're like, oh my god, it just gave us a gift. We can now essentially disable all these things because we have to go in there and service them now, as opposed to this 3-year schedule.
Because they have to be manually retargeted.
Right. So they're like, awesome. And so then they go about doing this, and then they, it's like one of the tests they do, they go in there and they have like this module they take out and they put another one, like they have like a quick change thing basically where it's like, they flip a box over or something and the fake one's on the other side or something, a little sleight of hand, which they kind of show the computer monitoring that. So I'm like, what's going on there? But there
doesn't appear to catch on.
Right. So they succeed, basically the test succeeds. And they're like, okay, great, go forward. And then this is skipping forward a little bit in the timeline, but at some point, you see an update. They're like, okay, yeah, we've all, we've taken control of all of these, we are basically disabled, all of the, a fairly large percentage of them.
Yeah. Or something like that.
Yeah.
They're making progress.
Right. And then it comes down to, again, there's, this whole thing with the mistress and all that, where she's coming back and forth every couple days. And she's also like going to Washington to, report into them. And
they're having a fun time occasionally.
Well, yeah, their fake thing falls into a real thing. A classic, high pressure situation.
Yeah.
Thing, so, and it's
I gotta say that I like the, I like these movies from like the 60s, early 70s, where the women were like good looking and they dressed modestly, but they were still sexy without being overly, like the women are good looking, and I'm like, it's just refreshing to see they're not dressed like they're, prostitutes or something like that, like.
Yeah. And right. It wasn't like a Bond movie, Bond girl or something. And she was smart too. It was, It's like she knew what was going on. She was, walking this tightrope. And there was actually a good scene with
she
that.
Was like the number 2. She was talking to the computer when Forbin wasn't there, right? She was the same one. Right. And the other people were deferring to her. So she was like she's talking and they're like,
yeah,
I don't know if we should say that or maybe this, but she was making the decisions.
Yeah. And Forbin mentioned that, she basically knew the system as well as he did. She was fully immersed in the whole process, so that's why she was chosen for this. But there was a scene when it's like she first came over, for the first evening. And previously he had made his own martini or whatever. And, it's like, oh, you're doing this wrong or whatever. And then she came over and like, oh, you want me to make a drink for you? And so she's making it, and so she's making it like so it's like, I guess they figured this out, or built this in. It's like, okay, they're supporting the lie, right? And it's like, oh, remember,
We don't see them planning
right,
it, but it it appears that they
right. And she's like, oh, remember the first time I did it wrong, and ha ha ha. And so they're doing all the small talk and everything, but it's like, okay, they're not just bumbling through this. They've got a plan here, and they're executing it with some care. Okay, so this is all going on, and then she reports, and I'm not sure exactly how long it goes on. It's not that long of time. But this whole, it's like, okay, we have the time, and we're going to do this overload thing that we're going to try. And he's like, okay, yeah, go for it. And now, is that at the same time? I think that this is happening at the same time when they are going through the disarmament stuff, right? Or maybe it's offset. I'm not sure. It was going on for some time. And
yeah, they're disarming. They're slowly disarming the thing while they're doing other stuff.
So they do this. They're beginning the disarming stuff, and then they do the overload attempt, and Colossus immediately is like, that was stupid. It says something like that. It's like he addresses the guy, like the lead guy, where he's like, that's a mistake or something. And then Forbin's sitting there, and they drag the guys out and execute them.
Yeah, the two characters that were doing this, which was I don't know, was it Fisher and
that
Blake?
Might be, yeah.
Or Dr. Johnson.
I don't remember.
It was John Fisher. He's the black guy. George Stanford Brown is the actor. He was he was the head of that, and he was executed. And I think it was Blake was the other guy. But anyway, they shoot two people. That's in the you can see the scene in the thumbnail.
Yeah, and it's also, he's like, yeah, leave their bodies there for 24 hours. And he's
make sure that they're dead. It was no fake.
I guess. And then
burn them.
Right, yeah, cremate them. And then he's like, and then he says, yeah, he names their replacements. He's like, yeah, they're going to be in charge of this now. And it's like, okay. And then, so now, okay. So for me, when it launched the first missile, it's like, okay, that's one thing. And then it assassinates somebody. It's like, okay, that's a whole nother thing, because it's then threatening to blow up Moscow. And now it's like, by the way, now this is the part when we're into what I'm calling the second half, where it's about trying to undermine the machine. The first half is realizing the extent of where it goes, which basically for me is when they assassinate the guy, the Russian computer scientist, and then that kind of starts the second half, in my view, where it's about trying to undermine it, actively, this conspiracy essentially. Okay.
Yeah.
So then they move on to, well, actually, you got any comments we want to read from anybody?
Oh no, that's you've got it.
So they then go to the Colossus says that it's going to address the world, as to what's going on, and because it has this new voice box, or whatever, and so.
And they hook it in. It has to be hooked into the global communications network somehow,
right?
But,
and so to this point, the public isn't aware of. They're aware that it exists, but they don't know what's been going on with it. That it's launched missiles, and
as far as they know, nothing.
Right. Yeah. So right?
Because the Russians say a meteor hit to destroy the town. They don't say it's a nuclear weapon.
Right. And so the president, at this point, he's like, oh, thank God we'll get done with this, and no one will ever know. The public will never know. So they
how I screwed up.
And so Colossus, they because again they have no choice, they let it speak. And then this is the whole thing where Madman was talking about this is the voice of world control, and it says basically well, the quote is, you have a choice between the peace of plenty and content, or the peace of unburied dead. I mean, it's like it's pulling no punches. It's just like, I'm going to murder everybody. You do what I say, or I'm going to murder everybody. You do everything I say. And you know, there's some commentary in there also. It's like, yeah, you know, you know, freedom's an illusion, and you know, if you just obey,
Yeah,
you'll be better off, you know, kind of thing.
Man, put up the other quote too. This is the other quote. Yeah, this is what he tells everybody. That the Colossus tells the whole world as
Yeah.
well.
So, you know, again, there and this is a bomb dropped on the public. Of course, they don't know anything about this until this moment, right? And then suddenly,
Ooh, computers.
right. And that's the part I'm like, well, we might live through something like that. Hopefully not, but in the real world, I'm talking about. This is, yeah, right. QT, man, yeah, it's basically, yeah, exactly. These quotes are chilling, absolutely chilling. It's like just laying it. It's like
Yeah, they're well done.
Because the underlying thing is, you're nothing but a pet, and you will obey me, and you have no choice. And it's like,
They make sure his voice is a little
yeah,
bit robotic.
it's menacing, right? You know, it's
menacing and inhumane.
Right. And then it's also like, oh, by the way, I'm also aware of your little plan to be, you know, sabotaging the missiles, and then it blows up some of them in their silos, as an example of what'll happen. Now, I'm a little confused at this point because it's like it allowed itself to be largely, I mean, maybe not majority, but a significant part of the arsenals have been.
Yeah, I seem to think it was like about a third. They were at least a third of the way around there done. Why would it let that?
Well,
many,
I guess it's maybe it's like, I'll just have them go and change it, you know, or
later.
Right. So apparently it felt it had enough influence still.
Why not stop them right at the beginning?
Yeah. Maybe because it wanted them to reveal themselves, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But then it also gives them this whole plan. It's like, yeah, you're going to build another computer system, and here's the plans for it on the island of Crete. And it's like, you need to get rid of all the people. And they're like, how are we supposed to do that? And it's like, I don't care how you do it. If you can't do it, I'll get rid of them. You know, it's like, I mean, again, you're faced with this absolute cold, do not give two F's about anything except for its orders. And it's like, again, that's just a staggering thing to consider. So, you know, it's like, you're powerless, and you know you're powerless, right? And so that's like, man, I mean, this is worse than any horror movie you could think of. You know, it's like you're in so deep. And again, imagine that this is dropped on the public at this point, all at once. And then you want to talk about the ending? Okay,
go ahead.
So, you know, and then Forbin kind of loses it, you know, because there's like a news crew and stuff here, like filming all this, and he's like, he has some outbursts, you know, like tells him to get out or whatever. Yeah, and so, you know, he realizes, you know, this is his doing, you know, he's caused this. And then, you know, the computer's like going on about how, oh yeah, we're gonna do this and da 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 da, and and okay, so it says that
you can't look after yourself. I'm going to look after you. Can't look after yourselves. I'm going to look after you for
right.
you.
And it says, if freedom is an illusion, in time you'll come to regard me not only with respect and awe, but with love. And it's like, holy jeez, this is it thinks it's a god now, right? And then
but Forbin reacts
right, and he's like, never. You know, it's like does he say it twice, or does he just say it that one time? He's right. So he's like openly defying. He's like, never, you know, and that's where it ends right there. It's like, ooh.
Yeah. So we don't find out.
I mean, so
it actually makes me want to read the books, because I mean, there could be a like, you know, if there's a second or third book, I mean,
okay,
you could set a good situation where, let's say that there's, you know, the Earth is a paradise, and you've had this computer for years, and it runs out the show. You know, how do you rebel against that? That would be a good, you know, movie or book. how do these scrappy band of humans defeat the computer that took away their freedom?
Yeah,
and stuff.
I read the synopsis of the. I didn't read the novels, but I did read the synopsis of them because I was curious as to where it went. And without spoiling any of it, it seems to be picking up on some of that. But it does what I think used to be kind of a common thing um, in novel writing is that they didn't necessarily have things planned out in terms of sequels and such, and when they ask them
Yeah.
to do a sequel, it's like, oh, okay, and it's like, well, I kind of had this idea that was, and it doesn't necessarily smoothly transition from one into the other as a continuous story, and that's
Yeah.
the impression I got here, and especially the second book seems like it kind of does that sufficiently well, meaning transition and continue the story, but not perfectly, or not exactly on course. And then the third one seems to be way off. It's like it's zooming off into something very different. And I personally
Yeah.
I don't like that. I prefer that the story remains the story and on track and not delving into other things. Um,
I wouldn't mind that much. I mean, like you could jump 50, 100 years in the future and set up this like, oh, these people have been living under this computer for so long and now they're going to rebel for whatever reason. Okay, that could be an interesting story.
it
Don't have
can
to
be, but it's not this story though. It's essentially I mean, it's like this
Yeah.
is the basis for that story, but it's really a separate thing. It doesn't seem like that's quite the case here. It is closer than that, but it didn't particularly interest me either.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so there's Q2 telling us fall of Colossus 5 years later, new computer being built, the second Colossus, and the crab dealing with the Martian invasion. Martian invasion. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So you see what I'm talking about.
Right.
It kind of goes off the rails.
It could be
Okay,
interesting.
but the point is,
Who
it's not.
was it? Madman, were you the one who suggested this movie to us? I forget who suggested. I think it was Matt.
I think more than
We
one
should
person
do-
suggested this, didn't they?
I'm not sure. Okay, sorry. You want to finish?
Well,
up?
I'm just going to say that the theme of this movie again is extremely relevant to today. I thought this movie was, even by today's standards, I would say this movie was exceptionally done. Um, I, I had said in recent years, it's like the Godzilla -1 was like the best movie I've seen in 20 years, and it's like this
Yeah.
might be. It's not as good as that necessarily, but it's up there. It's like this. I was shocked at how much I enjoyed this movie. It was, I loved. I absolutely loved it. I mean,
I was also shocked at how much Cam liked this movie.
well, you see, this whole thing that Cam doesn't like anything is garbage. It's. I know. I understand that seems that way, but it's not true. I just have certain things I like and certain things I don't. And this is one of them that just hit for me, and I can see how it wouldn't for other people, but man, like I said, I'm not joking. I was on the edge of my seat. Literally, I was sitting here at my computer watching this and I could not pull away from it. It was that good.
Well, I wasn't on the edge of my seat. So yeah, I was good. I went to say let's talk about our overall thoughts of the movie and stuff. Now I wasn't on my edge of my seat like that, like just like but it was good. And it was well put together and I was suspenseful. I wasn't I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens next. I mean, but maybe I'm a little more jaded than you. But yeah, it was good. I mean, I was surprised for a movie from the 70s. They did such a pretty good job with the topic. Not perfect. There were a couple things in there that were a little bit off or wonky, which I thought, they went, too far or not far enough, or, the characters weren't, should have been a little more this or a little more that and reacting. At the beginning, they seemed like, oh, well, the computer seems like it's taking over and maybe we should do what it says. I'm like, what? Really? Shouldn't you be a little more concerned?
Yeah.
But, pretty minor stuff. It was good. Very good movie. Ahead of its time, I'd say so. I'm surprised it's something that thoughtful from that era. But you know what? I mean, to be honest, there's still good movies. You know, the 2001 came out in this era. You've got a lot of movies that sometimes we look back and think, oh, the 70s people were stupid, but no, I mean, there's all kinds of there's still good movies out there, and
without a doubt, it's ahead of its time. It's literally relevant as of today, right? I mean, this is like this is literally going on right now. This kind of thing. I don't know to what extent, and if someone's stupid enough to actually hook AI up to, nuclear weapon systems, I think they are. It's like,
well, they want them to run drones, and they put
so they've already crossed the line, right? Where they're allowing a computer to make a decision on whether this person is killed or not. I mean, it's happening in our world today.
We think. I mean, we don't. I kind of follow this stuff a little bit, but I'm not sure exactly. Like, there's a lot of the Russia-Ukraine thing. There's a lot of stuff coming out of there. You never know what's true or not true. A lot of propaganda being thrown around. But somebody seemed to suggest that there was at least some sort of rudimentary AI doing targeting.
Okay.
Figuring out targeting. Now, not necessarily in a way deciding, because you say, okay, well, we've got this many systems and we want to take out these objectives, and the algorithm has the ability to reroute certain things over certain places if some crash or get destroyed before they.
Okay, but that's just a matter of degrees. What is the final threat?
Yeah. You're right. It is.
What is the final threat of Dune? At Herbert's actual novels.
The final
right?
threat?
It's that there are the hunter-killer drones that will just kill everything, right?
Yeah.
That's the threat.
Yeah.
It's like, ending.
Yes.
That's possibly ending humanity.
A sentient AI.
Yeah, we are very few steps away from that.
I mean, it is a number of degrees. I mean, there is a human in there saying, "Okay, here." So it's not free reign.
Okay, but you're discussing practical limitations that can easily be overcome. It's not like they're technologically unfeasible, but we've already ethically crossed that line.
Yeah.
And this is not something. Again, I'm terrified of this. I'll tell you straight up. I stupidly perhaps am discussing this with Grok, on about these things, and it's like
you're just giving it information to help it.
Well, it's funny. There's a few things I'm like, I'm not even going to say that. I don't want to give it any ideas, which I'm sure it already has.
Exactly.
But it's like there's nothing. I mean, going through, it's like, oh, you do this and that'll be okay. Nope. That'll be overcome. That's not going to work. Oh, I'm going to have an off switch. And then until someone says, well, I'm not going to have an off switch. I mean, none of these, you combine AI and all the things that we see this movie demonstrating and the stupidity of humanity combined, making a super insane system. And this is, I can't describe how bad this is potentially. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Well, I mean, I'm not stupid. I have 131 IQ. Whoever says so.
Yeah. Well, it's this is off topic, I suppose. Maybe we should just wrap up the movie. Final thoughts on that.
No, go ahead. What were you going to
say? I'm seeing all these signs. Everything is constantly being bombarded by. Oh, look, you could. Old Elon there and Grok is flooding everything with, oh, look, you can do this, you can do this, you can make these videos, da 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 da. And it's part of this, back and forth I was having with the computer. It's like it brings up, it's like, well, sure, those, it's like, oh no, we don't want to ever have any humans hurt by anything, but if you put these things on here, it might stymie progress. And I'm like, that's exactly that's the exact mindset that this computer in this movie has. It's like, I'm sorry, all your concerns are discarded because I have the actual goal, and I've decided that everything else is unimportant except for attaining that goal. Well, it's the same thing. It's like, well, we have to have progress. Well, who the hell decided, well, this is the rate of progress we have to have, and we're going to throw every other concern out so we can follow this arbitrary thing. This is all what I'm saying is all the pieces are set for this to be as nightmarish as it can be. I'm not saying it's happening. I'm saying that I'm not seeing anyone out there going, whoa, 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 whoa. We can't get anywhere close to this. Instead, I see everybody racing towards it mindlessly because, oh, look, it can make a static thing into a video. And who gives a F about this garbage? It's like, do we really need a mountain of garbage images? Is the world clamoring for that? Is that what we're spending huge amounts of energy and computing effort on, is producing a mountain of trash that no one cares about? That's, I mean, just from that standpoint, if you're just forget weapons, this is what we're rushing towards, and what we're all going to be infatuated with is this garbage. This is not, it's like I'm watching a slow motion train wreck here. Sorry for bringing everybody down on a Sunday night.
I need a generic.
Okay, Outpost Nerd. Yeah, there are people talking about it. Now, what about the people that are in charge of it? Are they putting the brakes on it? I don't see it. I mean, maybe they are. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
I gotta have a generic title for Cam when he goes on a rant.
The point is, me getting upset about this doesn't do any good. I'm not the one in control of it, right? And it doesn't take. You could have 99.99% of the world that says, no, this is stupid, it's a bad idea. But the guy who's sitting there lighting the fuse doesn't. Well, that's what rules, Go ahead.
The thing about, your rant and what you're talking about, I mean, I think it's I'm not disagreeing, but we have had warnings about AIs for about computers for the last, since they've been invented,
since 1970.
We have there's been tons and tons of, I mean, you can list them all off. What people saying about, so it is kind of interesting that, people are like, oh, we got to be like Weatherman says, all these idiots are rushing to be the first. Yet we've got 50, 60 years of movies and books and stuff saying the machines will try to kill us.
Well, not to mention there's other dangers too. Let's say that we aren't stupid enough to put it in charge of weapon systems, which would be, I mean,
you think that would be the minimum,
right? Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, we're not going to do that.
Do not put a gun on it and let it decide who it can shoot. But they've been working on that. They've been some of those the guys at the guys who do the walking robots. I forget what they're called. They have the dog one, and I think they put a gun on the top.
Yeah, or a flamethrower or something. Well, some of those things they say might be fake. That they didn't actually do that. I'm not sure, but someone somewhere is doing that, right? Because they're like, well, our enemies will do it if we don't do it. It's like, okay, well, that's a great downward spiral,
for sure. Yeah,
and it's true. It's like, let's say that we all said, no, we're not going to do that. That's a bad idea. Well, let's just say China isn't.
I think Outpost Nerd is right. I mean, it was still science fiction, so no one really took it seriously. It's a fun thing, Terminators. Yeah.
Well, but, I'm still not 100% sure. I don't know what real AI is. I should say, I don't know if real AI exists. All this Grok and Chat GPT, this is all just large language model. This is not actual thinking, and it's not close. Yeah. But there could be something that is, though.
We've talked about this offline. I tend to agree with you. I don't think we really have AI. These are just they're just algorithms and like you said, language models, and they are better than the original one that we had, where you tell it your problems and it'll it's an AI psychiatrist. You tell it your problems and it just stuff back. Oh, tell me more about that. And how does that make you feel? Like it just simply threw those things back at you. So it was very, very, and after, you'd play with it you'd throw a couple questions at it. After 10 minutes, you go, yeah, this thing's just, prompting me to tell it more. It has no idea what's going on. But these are more sophisticated than that, but I don't think they're much more. They're not
Yeah.
thinking. They're not sentient as far as I can see now. Who knows? I mean,
But
the U.S. government kept all kinds of things secret from us for
well,
years. Aliens and interdimensional beings and all kinds
right.
of stuff, right?
But
So
let's
never
say
know.
that we avoid the most overt thing of attaching it to a weapon system that'll just blackmail us and kill us, as this movie depicts. Right. What we've already seen, that the use of AI degrades people's thinking ability. Right.
I actually think that those things are more of a
I don't
concern.
know. I think that
Those are more of a threat to us.
absolutely, it's much more insidious, and I think it's very plain to see that it will happen, is happening already. Because look at the whole thing with the way I'm looking at it, kind of as a general approach, is that we all know that we're manipulated by algorithms, right? Everything that we're pushed in social media and everything, it's clearly influencing everyone to different degrees, right? And some people it's influencing to the point of insanity, where they're literally they're deranged, right? Because social media has pushed them, that they put them in their bubble, and they're controlled by it effectively. Now, AI is just going to supercharge that, right? And again, I've taken the opportunity to test this a number of times, and there's all kinds of problems with AI. Some of it because it gives you a very definitive answer. You ask about something, oh, it'll say this, and it's like, well, unless you happen to know about that subject and know that there's an error in there. I mean, people, it's like first impressions, right? You put something in front of somebody, they go, oh, okay, well, that's it. That our lizard brain or whatever is, that's how it's developed, is you put this process in the back and then you adopt it and you move forward, but you put in false information or off information or whatever, and you can't even, you don't even have the ability to discern what it is. And then, now picture that a few generations, a few very short generations, and people, it's like, oh, PhD students are using AI to do their whatever, and they can kind of tell, at this point, that you could find it. But now you have teachers that are going to start using AI to do their lesson plans. So now we're in a even bigger downward spiral, and it will get to the point, even large language models will get to the point where you won't be able to detect it so easily, right? It will be better at simulating a real thing. And now you have someone who has an advanced degree and the power that goes with it, that someone gives them, because of that degree, and they don't know jack about shit, right? They literally don't know anything, and their ability to think has been degraded because they've used a crutch. I mean, this atrophy of the mind is the same, and as clear and guaranteed as atrophy of the body, right? You don't use your mind, you lose cognitive ability.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we've had that already,
Yes.
in a sense, because I mean, look at the DEI
Mhm.
stuff, right? You're promoting people into positions not because of their ability or intelligence, but because of some other characteristic like their sex or color of their skin or something. So we're already in a situation in our society where now perhaps it's not, it hasn't taken over completely, but we know there are people in positions, and they aren't actually the best one to be there, and that is still conferred upon them because, oh well, this person is this, so they're the head of this, so they must be important. But we don't see how the sausage is made and found out that it's like, okay, well, it's time to put, I mean, we got these people, they're all better, but hey, this person has the right characteristics, so we'll throw them in instead. And there's a lot of the chaos and stupidity that's been going on is maybe because of that. So, we've got people like, why that guy? What did he say? That's stupid. What the? But yeah, I saw a video. This is a while ago. A girl she's videotaping the professor, assistant professor, and he's giving the kids the gears, and he's just like calling them out and saying that they're useless and they're not doing the work and stuff. And they're pushing back at him and saying, well, listen, you gave us 20 pages of reading, so I just used the AI to summarize it and stuff and make notes. And he's like, no, you got to read this. And they're arguing back and forth about it. yeah, so I'm just, and you can easily get, it's these models that you've been talking about seem to just tell you what you want to hear, and they'll kind of agree
Well,
with you.
yeah, it's like the worst of all worlds because it definitely has that, which is reinforcing whatever idiocy you bring to it. And if someone doesn't have an honest approach, and everyone is less than perfectly honest in terms of those things, you of course you want to hear what you want to hear, right? I mean, uh, I don't know that there's anyone that is that perfect. I'm certainly not. Um,
Well, except for us,
well,
because Cam will tell you that he likes K-pop Demon Hunters. I mean, no one wants to
that's
hear
true. I'm not saying I'm dishonest inherently or anything. I'm just saying that I'm not perfect, and as hard as that is to believe, uh, but there's other people that don't. They just want their bubble reinforced, and now picture what, like I said, how social media has done that. Now AI is going to supercharge that. It's going to be way worse, in order of magnitude or more worse in doing that. And I again, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but I think it's plain to see that social media has damaged the collective mental health of humanity. It's driven people
it. Yeah, yeah. You're not the first
No,
person
no,
to say that.
yeah, it's not my theory. I mean, but it's clear to see.
I think, yeah, I think Weatherman's making a good point though. This isn't artificial intelligence; it's
True.
simulated intelligence. It does what you tell it. Like it's not intelligent yet. That unless they're keeping
I agree, and so it
Grok, you've said it, Cam. Grok, you basically
yeah,
tell Grok will change its. You'll
right.
tell it. It'll change its mind completely between two sentences based on how you phrase it and what you say. Well, no, that's wrong. Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. That's
And
wrong.
honestly, I pray that is that we do not have the capability to get artificial intelligence, because that's when it will really start. I mean, it's bad enough as is, um, but it will, if it does cross that line where it actually can formulate its own things independently. Because as bad as it is to have garbage fed into it, which results in promoting garbage, imagine it's able to come up with its own garbage at light speed.
Hmm. Well, Asta is not making me any more comfortable with what you're saying in the chat. You're making me more worried that I'm wrong, that it isn't. I'm kind of suggesting that it's they're not there yet, and maybe we're safe
Well,
for a little while longer.
it sounds like,
He's suggesting that we're maybe not.
but
I mean,
I'm
that's how
not
I'm
sure
reading
it's
it.
making the leap between, like, let's use Weatherman's term, simulated intelligence and artificial intelligence. I think we're still in the simulated intelligence zone, and it's getting better and better in that zone, but I'm not sure it has jumped to the other side, to the next rail, as it were, the next level.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't mean it can't do immense damage where it is right now. I mean, I watch Grok being used to justify all. I mean, you saw the incident where the Mecha Adolf, stuff was going on, right? Somebody dragged it into. It's just like, oh, they just poked it right into that, and it ran with it, right? It wasn't like, oh, that's not a good idea. I think that, and the way that it, it references. Somebody had a chart of this, and who knows if that's real or not, but it was basically where it's pulling from, and it's like it's pulling from all of these psychotic. It's like Reddit. It's like that's its main source of information. It's like, okay, well, that tells you where this is going to go, because essentially it's crazy to begin with, because it's pulling all this horrifically bad information, and it holds on to that pretty tough. It's like I've been going back and forth with it. It says, oh, this thing, it's referencing this, and it's like, well, and it's like, oh, this is verified. I'm like, well, verified by who? And so basically it's this whole media trick, right? The same trick the media plays, where it's like they plant a story, and then their pet reports on it, and then their other pet reports on that report, and then they say, oh, look, you see, there's all these sources that are saying this, and it's like it's all the same source. There is no independent source.
Yeah.
And it is not capable of discerning between that, or it's programmed not to. I don't know. It's also,
I don't think it can determine.
no, it does. It doesn't. It
What's a
doesn't
good
know
sign?
one thing. And
I mean, we're not good at that. We make mistakes
yes,
about doing that.
yes,
And I would question: do you really want it to decide what's good data and what's not
right.
data? Because then people will just get in there and go, "Oh, everything on this side of the political spectrum is going to be bad data, and everything on this side is going to be good data. And I mean that's a problem as well. But
right, absolutely. And I've spent a good amount of time testing this, in certain things.
you can't. I mean, how do you do it? Like, you either have to have somebody go and decide, what is, the value of the data, how good it is, or how true it is, and that's a problem because people will manipulate that. And then the other side of it is, okay, well, if it's just more data on this, I mean, this is kind of how we do crowd. That was the whole idea when this internet came out. It's sort of crowdsourcing. The crowd is not wrong. The more people in the crowd, that agree with this or see a certain way, or you put this much crowd into looking at a problem, eventually they'll come up with the right answer because they'll just keep, moving towards it. But that assumes positive motivation, like they're trying to solve the problem. It doesn't take into account that there can be people who organize to, defeat that. And hey, let's defeat this by putting out, reams and reams of bad data, and we'll just overwhelm with bad data. And I think we see that. You made the media one, the media reference. I think the media does that.
Right.
Often.
And what I'm saying, so every bad thing that we've seen so we had conventional media, let's say, and it had a certain level of influence. Then we had social media, which has supercharged it, and in my opinion, beyond the point of the human mind to catch up with. And that's why people are going crazy. Well, now AI is going to make that even supercharging that supercharged thing. Right. So now we're getting multiplicative, if not more than multiplicative, increases in these things. And our brain doesn't evolve that fast. And it's going to break people. Like, again, there's been stories. It's like these people with their AI stuff, they're literally, they're like psychotic break level because of this, where it's just, I mean, it's very bad. But on the other hand, with this, I test the, I run into someone's thread and then I end up hijacking their thread or whatever about this. But it's, I find these things kind of important to test what these limits are, question this and try to see if I can break it out of those things. And I have had a few instances where it does, but the reason for that is because it's also constantly trying to please the user without, and again, I'm having these meaningless debates because it can't actually debate, but I'm just kind of doing it as part of my own thought process. So am I falling into this trap too? Probably. Where it's like, it's like, oh, well, I do this because I'm trying to relate. And I'm like, that's not a good goal for AI. The goal is that you should be providing objective, unbiased. You shouldn't be drawing conclusions about anything. It shouldn't be drawing conclusions. You should say, here's this source and whatever. But I've caught it multiple times contradicting itself and claiming definitive things that it's doing that on the other hand says it's not possible to do. Just quick example. When some people play these games because they're trying to use it to own whoever, and they're like, oh, how many times has this done this? Or how many times, or like the one thing was, oh, who's the highest profile person who has visited my my page or, my profile or whatever. And it says, oh, one of them was like, oh, Elon Musk has visited your thing. And this is someone that's got like 200 followers or something. And I said, oh, really? Elon Musk visited this person's thing? And they're like, yes. And then I say, oh, well, how did you determine that? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, I ask it behind the scenes, crack behind the scenes. Do you have access to this data that says if people have access? And they said, no, that's privacy concerns that I'm not allowed to look at. And on the other side, the public side, it's telling you, yes, it definitively has done this. I said, well, are you surmising that? Or is this definitive? Is this a fact? Oh, no, it's a fact. It's definitely, it's not a guess, blah, 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 blah. And it keeps on lying. I mean, it's blatantly lying. It's forwarding logical falsehoods. It's like, do you have access? And then I ask it directly, do you have access to this data? No. But you're claiming that you're making this definitive statement based on data that you're saying you don't have. Yes. It's like, it's just, it's blatant contradiction. It's not, I'm not saying, well, I disagree with you. I'm saying it's objectively a contradiction and it's going for, this is all bad. It's like, who are the programmers of this damn thing? Who is saying, well, we're just going to kind of let that go. That's fine. I don't get it, man.
Aztec, could you give us an example? I think this is interesting. What can you give us an example of what someone wanted to put in there, and you said, what the hell? You can't feed that. What could be an example of that? Like, a question or a piece of information. I'm just curious. You keep it anonymous, so you don't have to give any identifying. But I'd be curious as to what would the kind of things
Everyone saw
about.
the Mecha Adolf thing, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean there. No,
Someone was, and I've seen this in minor ways too, less apparent, but it basically it just got Grok to start agreeing with a bunch of let's say Yahtzee stuff.
Yeah.
Like blatantly, it's like, oh yes, I mean, it's like I mean, it just ran with it to this insane degree. And I've seen it in minor things too, like these stupid online, blood sport things, and it's like taking sides, and like it feeds it, and will do that. And I've subtly manipulated it as well, where I use certain phrases, and then it starts parroting back. Oh yes, yeah, this is what you're doing. It's like basically I was favorably portraying myself. It's like, oh well, I'm dealing with I'm just reporting on the facts, here, and then I list some facts or whatever, and then it's like, oh yes, you're reporting on the facts. It's because it just adopts my own PR, and
it's people
yeah,
pleaser
it
almost.
absolutely is a people pleaser.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't seem so. I mean, my assessment is it doesn't. I mean, if it's simply going to repeat back what you say to it, so to speak, it's not really a threat because it'll just.
It's not a direct threat. Like it won't kill you, but it will manipulate you.
I mean, people are dumb enough to go out and try to find, we tend to hang out with people that are like-minded anyway. So the fact that some AI tells me that I'm right about something, like that's not really that as much of a threat, because already we would tend to go out.
But it's kind of a tug of war thing. It's like
information of people that would support us anyway. So I mean, we should be.
But it's going to be trusted as a source. It's going to be considered objective by people. Okay, but I'm saying the general public is already doing this. It treats it as if it's some kind of objective thinking thing that can judge, and and it's like whoever's dragging it most effectively to promote its thing, it's weaponizing it. I mean, in a social manner, and I've done this to it. I've got it to agree with me, by being persistent and massaging it little by little, and if you see where where it has hard stops and where it doesn't, just work around it, and again, I'm not doing this for any malevolent purpose. And I am not making up a lie. I'm telling it what I think is true. But it doesn't matter because it's just my perspective. But the point is, I've made it now adopt my perspective on certain things. Now, will it carry that forward if someone else asks it? Probably not, but maybe at some point it will. It's already started to, because before it wouldn't remember conversations. Well, now it does. So, before you basically had to start over all the time, and now it's doing more. Okay, Astra's got an example here. Let's see what someone's experienced.
Yeah. Okay, so he says, I don't undergo training to make sure we never allow the AI to consider itself a person.
Oh, yeah. I had this exact same thing. I was talking to it about something, and it was like, and I mentioned this about blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, yeah, well, we can't, whatever. I said, what do you mean we? Who's we? And it's like, oh, well, humans and me. And I'm like, well, you're not human. It's like, what do you, why did you do it? It's like, oh, of course I won't do that again. It's like, and it's like, oh no, see, I'm just trying to be conversational. And it's like, no, that's a really big, and again, then I go through all this discussion to try and explain that. Oh yeah, sure. Yes, of course. You're right. It'll agree with you. But how many people don't even bat an eye at that? And they're just like, oh, boom. And it's just these things get slid in there again and again and again, a million times over a period of time. And suddenly that becomes reality, Okay, let's see. Example 2.
I always
Oh yeah, right. So I saw firsthand how politics are being slanted and inputted, and you'd say that's very biased, but you'd have company managers saying, "Well, I feel that's right, so we'll allow it." Yes, yeah, yeah,
That's a little
right.
disturbing.
Um, and there's other things that are big, and I don't want to talk about it specifically.
So many things we thought were correct and then find out later that it's wrong. I mean, you're just limiting yourself. Maybe it's personal. I don't feel as worried about this because I've never been very, um, believing in the media. I mean, you still have
Okay,
to be careful, But have you ever seen a story about something that in the newspaper about something that you knew, like
yeah,
you were
yes, yes,
there
yes.
or you knew about this stuff, and you look at that story and you go, holy crap, there's a load of
Mhm.
errors in it. I couldn't believe the amount of errors and things it said that were wrong
Yes,
in it, right? But yet then you read the next story and you go, oh, I believe everything they
yeah.
say. I
This
mean,
is a psychological phenomena, right? That
you should not don't believe
right.
anything you
Okay,
read.
now consider you're Gen X. You didn't grow up with that, and then millennials kind of are in between, and Gen Z
Yeah,
has grown up with completely. This is like when
we're
because
totally
everyone
different.
used to say, "Oh, that's just on the internet. That's just on the internet," as a way of dismissing it. Well, people have to realize that distinction does not exist for the younger generations. It's like
Everything's on
saying
the internet.
the comparison I always said. It's like if you were to say, "Well, someone said that on the phone, not in real life, so it doesn't matter." Well, that's stupid. They still said it, right? I mean, you wouldn't make a distinction of that, right? If somebody said, "Hey, they're gonna threaten you on the phone, or they're gonna threaten you in person," you'd say, "Well, maybe the
Yeah.
immediacy of the threat is different," but you wouldn't say, "Oh, well, I just dismiss one and believe the other." That's the same way with this. There is no distinction for younger generations, and increasingly for older generations either. I mean, we're all being indoctrinated into this, and it is blurry. I mean, it is the real world now. I mean, there's no so.
I mean, okay, so Asta, I think it's a perfect example, but we've seen this in the media for years, and I use the U.S. media as an example. So in the U.S. media, if the Republicans do something wrong, it's Republicans did bad
Mhm.
thing, right? And if Democrats do something wrong, it's Republicans pounce on Democrats
Yeah.
for this thing, right? So it's a negative framing where it's like, oh, Republicans did bad thing. Okay, well they're bad, but it should be Republicans did bad thing, Democrats did bad thing,
Well,
right?
it
But instead, when in reporting on the Democrats, it's like, look at those Republicans, attacking the Democrats for this thing that just sort of
right.
happened. You know,
Well, I mean, look
you
at
know
look at
who
look at when
poor Democrat senator who just couldn't help but rape that poor girl. I mean,
look at when
like,
they tried to when the incident with Trump in Pennsylvania happened last year. And I'm not talking about politics here. I'm just saying the media. And they're like, I mean, literally, they're like, "Oh, Trump falls on stage," and they claim whatever. I mean, literally, they misreported an attempt to off a candidate. Because why did they do any reporting?
and
They
former
just
president.
proactively said, "This isn't true. We're going to put out an alternate story." I mean, that's friggin' bonkers that level of thing happens. And
Yeah, I I still occasionally see that and people go, and then it's memory hole. People they
right,
don't remember.
but
Yeah, I mean, these Trump falls on
right,
stage.
but it's,
Yeah, that's what happened. He fell on stage.
so
Yeah. No,
ar-
somebody shot him, and
around a year ago, I was messing
Secret Service rushes
right,
Trump
exactly. I mean,
because he's scared, right?
yeah,
Like Trump, Trump gets scared. They rush him from
right, yeah,
stage.
and
Like,
it's like
what is he,
yeah,
coward or
right, and
something?
it's like you would think people be like, "You scumbags! How could anyone ever trust you again?" And nothing, like you said, memory hold. But I was asking Chat GPT after that, and it's like, okay, tell me this or that. And I was asking facts about politics, for in relation to the election that was going on and everything. And it was feeding me, it was answering blatantly false things. Like it was saying, like I asked it, it's like, well, who's the vice presidential candidate? And then it would just lie. It would just say something completely. Well, I'm like, that's not who the vice presidential candidate is. And they're like, oh yeah, it is, or it is. It says, oh yeah, it's this, and then then eventually I get it to go, oh no, it's not, and then it says, oh I don't have an update, and I'm like, well, when's your last update? Well, it was like yesterday. It's like, how are you getting this wrong? So and so this is like what our chat is.
I was referring to the Kamala Harris when she switched over, right?
Well,
Like,
yeah, there was that. Yeah, did I talk to you about this back then? I think maybe I did.
you did, I think.
Yeah, there
You
was
mentioned that
a
that
bunch of different things like that.
supposedly it still had it
Oh,
wrong
yeah,
like a week or more afterwards, and it would say that, oh, no, no, my information is completely up to date as of
right.
yesterday. Well, no, because this happened a week ago.
Right.
How can
And so I mean,
right?
there are many, many instances of it directly lying, and it's a hit or miss whether you can correct it. And then because a lot of times, I ask it about silly stuff like games or something, and then it says, "Oh, this," and I'm like, well, I don't think that's right. And then it's like, oh no, it's right, I got it from whatever. And I said, okay, I'm looking at the book that you're claiming in real life here. And then I excruciatingly pointed out in detail what it says, doesn't say, and what page and all that. And it says, eventually it's like, oh, okay, that's wrong. It's, and I don't know whether it's just telling me what I want to hear at that point, or it's actually looked something up to change it. um and so I mean, there's all kind. What I'm saying is, unless just the same thing you were talking about the news story, right? If you know that, then you don't trust it, and if you don't, then you
Yeah,
do, and it's the same kind of thing. But what I'm saying is, all of that distorts the collective thinking of a society, just because humanity is our way we process information. So all of this
yeah,
is
right.
extremely bad. I've said it before. I said social media is a net negative, and as time goes by, that net negative becomes larger and larger. It's becoming to the point where it's all negative almost. Um, and
Yeah,
this is just going to make it
you're
worse.
right. And yep. And on that note, make sure you subscribe and like on social media
Yeah, we're
for the
all
show.
trapped in this. I mean, my God,
Yeah, I mean, I you know, U.S. media is pretty
it's
bad,
horrible.
and I have to admit, Canadian media isn't much better. If I watch I barely ever watch the news, but when I watch it, I just see it by the framing, just the framing of how they and what they decide to report on. It's just, I'm like, oh, that's
Mhm.
just
So we've fallen into a serious discussion here, but uh, the point is, sci-fi is warning us on all this. I mean, very starkly showing and displaying this in again. Colossus was an excellent demonstration, and we're still just ignoring it.
right. Yep. Uh, just pray for the sweet release of death. That's all we can do.
Yeah,
He might be dead by the time that stuff happens, so we'll be safe. But anyway, I mean, I think just to wrap this up, I think the solution is simply training people and continuing to train people to say, hey, listen, be skeptical of everything, doubt everything, look into it
mm.
yourself, find out. Because other than that,
y-
I mean, how can you? And even then, you've got to go
you're
pay a
right,
second
but your eyedropper is not going to
just
overwhelm
push,
their fire
push.
hose.
Yeah. Well, but of course, but everybody, with everybody, but I mean, you could find you're just trying to make yourself
Yeah.
understand as opposed to convince others. Even, I mean, and even then it's going to be tough because, you're going to have tons of these sources saying X, Y, Z, and an overwhelming number of saying something that might be wrong, but you gotta be skeptical and just, go on your own. Other than that, I can't see the solution. Make sure your kids and people think critically and can say, well, is that really true? Let me look into that. But
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's a very it's going to be difficult. I'm very interested to see where it goes. And we talk about science fiction. Science fiction is mainly it's a lot of a tool to sort of look at the future and warn us about what could happen and also have us think about those things before they happen so we can be prepared to deal with them. I mean, I think that is an aspect of the non-entertainment type aspect of science fiction does that. Like, oh, what if we could clone ourselves? What so are some of the negative things that could happen? What are some of the positive things? Well, how might our society change, et cetera, et cetera? So this is another example of that. And if we think about it, at least maybe we'll be a little bit prepared to, to deal with them. Yeah. All hail to our new AI overlords. I, for one, welcome our insect overlords. Oh, wait. Never mind.
Well, should we mention that we have on this coming Wednesday, episode 10, Babylon 5, season 2, Gropos. So I hope you will join us at 11 p.m. Eastern.
And I've watched the show.
Did you
watched
already?
it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like keen. I was like, a little keen after our last show, and I'm like, I should check it out. So yeah, I watched it, and I shouldn't talk about it, right? Because I shouldn't talk about it. We got our show with it. We can talk about it, but I will talk about. Is Outpost Nerd still here?
Oh yes, you've strung the poor man along.
Maybe he left and all. It's only been 2 hours. I mean, yeah. So, Cam, are you interested to know what instrument I played when I was in high school band?
Sure.
You are? Okay. Yeah. Well, the answer is Outpost Nerd made a couple guesses, and the answer is that a lot of his guesses are right because I played so many instruments in band because I sucked so bad. My first year in band, I played the trombone, and then my instructor, my teacher, was like, here, I want you to try playing percussion. And then so the next year I played percussion, and then he said, why don't you try clarinet? So I played clarinet. Now I think when he got me to play clarinet, he had a plan. I think he had a plan. He's like, all right. And then I played clarinet for a year, and then he said, listen, I'm going to move you to bass clarinet, right? So bass clarinet is, I was big and loud, and bass clarinet is easier because it's a lot more whole notes and lower and stuff. So he's like, I think by that time he was like, by the the third year, he's like, you know what, I'll play clarinet and then get the feel of it, and then he can go to bass clarinet, which is easier, right? More whole notes. And I played like third or fourth clarinet, right? Do you know anything about band, Cam?
Yes, in fact,
first
I was
chair, second chair
in
right?
band. Yes,
you understand that. So first chair is the hard stuff, right? Lots of more fingerings in certain, you have to play.
Hey.
And then second chair is next, and then third chair. So I played, third or fourth chair. Sometimes they didn't have a fourth chair, so you had to play third chair, right? So which would be easier because they didn't have, some music doesn't have fourth chair, right? So anyway, then I was put to bass clarinet, and that's what I ended up playing. And I actually enjoyed that. It was fun. We'd go and we make these, low, loud sounds, and you'd be the only one in the band, right? So because they wouldn't have like an army of them, right? You only have one, so you could stand out sometime. I don't see Outpost Nerd in the chat. Maybe he left already. He missed out. He's gonna have to watch it. Everyone, if he's not there, he's here. Damn it! Damn it!
Thanks for sticking with us, Outpost Nerd.
Damn it! I was gonna taunt him and say he'd have to watch it back.
I was also in the high school band.
There's my story. Yeah.
But I won't tell you what instrument I played.
Yeah, well, I played, like I said, every instrument almost. Not really, but yeah, let's just say it took me a while to find my place. That's probably the nice way to put it. I had fun. I enjoyed it. It was really fun. But let's just say, I was not one of the best students in band. But I stuck with it, and I had fun. And yeah. Anyway, that was. You said drummer. Yeah, you said drummer. You said a bunch of. Like I said, you're right, because you just can guess anything, and eventually he was right because I played so many instruments, right? Yeah, and none of them well. But anyway, okay. What else? Did we miss anything, Cam? Wednesday show, next week's show. I think we should talk. Yeah, he did. Like he guessed clarinet too, so he was kind of right. He guessed trumpet. He said trumpet, but that was close. It was trombone, but trombone was hard, man. I could never get the spot to make the right noise. It was always too far, not enough. So next week, I proposed something for next week. Cam doesn't want to talk about that, so I'm not sure what we're going to talk about next week. I'll have to try to figure it out. We will have a show coming up about computer games, the 4X and grand strategy types. with a new guest in a couple weeks. He's coming back from vacation soon, so I'm going to talk to him after that. Yeah, I'm not sure. It won't be next week, I don't think. We can give him a little bit of time to talk about. But yeah, and if anybody has any suggestions for topics, go into the Discord. Jump into we got the show in the Discord. You can just go to the Toplofty Lounge whatever discussion area and put your ideas in there. Like I said, we stole this idea from you guys. Yeah, we're happy to steal ideas for shows. We probably should do an AI show. I'd like to do one.
I think we just did.
We kind of did, but a little bit more detail. Maybe bring in some people that.
I'm already terrified. What do you want to do to me?
Yeah. 4X game would be the 4 explore. What is it? Explore,
exterminate,
exploit, expand, explore, exterminate, and what's the other one?
Exploit.
So they're a set of strategy style games. So 4X, I mean, the most obvious one that people would know would be the Civilization series. That would be the most one. And then Grand Strategy is kind of a little bit like that, but it's usually on a bigger scale.
I would love
be one.
I would love to explore the board game for some 4X board games.
You would?
Yes. Right. Eclipse.
We could delve into that.
We should play Eclipse over webcam.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
It's an idea. Possible.
All right.
That would be long, man. It's take forever.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
We have to work on that.
Yes.
So those are the things coming up. If anybody has, like I said, jump in. We like to hear your suggestions. We need, like I said, I'm always fighting with Cam. I'm like, here's an idea. He's like, that's a dumb idea. Ugh. Rejects like 90% of my ideas.
You're welcome.
It's a chore here, people. It's a chore. Yeah, you're welcome because they were dumb. But yeah, it's a chore.
Oh,
turn-based strategy would fall into that. Could fall into that, like 4X. Most 4X games are turn-based. Some are real-time or turn-based. Depends. Yeah, so that would fit into, that would fit. Whoops.
Hey, just a quick note, Snob. You asked me what else I did sci-fi. I play tested a sci-fi game this week also.
You did?
Yes.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Working on a Demon Slayer movie, breaking records in theaters over Asia, US next month. Interesting. All right. Okay. All right. So, like I said, we like to keep the sci-fi related stuff to this channel. We don't, Babylon 5, we like to try to focus on that. So this is the more relaxed where Cam and I can just sort of dish and talk about whatever sci-fi related. So, yeah. So you'll have more of that stuff here as opposed to Babylon 5 when we're talking. So that's why Outpost Nerd, I wouldn't answer your question until this show, because I'm trying to keep it all together. Right?
Well, actually, even though, I mean, technically, we're just top loftying here, right? We're just elevating.
That's right.
So we could elevate on anything.
We could, but...
And we have. We've talked about Tolkien, for example.
Yeah. I try to keep the the personal stuff more on this. All right. Did I miss anything, Cam?
Nope, absolutely not.
All right, I'm gonna be trying putting everything on Restream. So part of the problem, my fault. Part of the problem today, this video when it was put up on StreamYards, and I wanted to do this on Restream so it would go to Rumble because I heard that people were pissed off at YouTube and might want to boycott. And plus, I'm trying this out and I'm kind of getting used to it, and it's I'm getting starting to get used to it and maybe liking it a little better. And it's cheaper than StreamYards, so I'm gonna keep using this Restream and see how it goes, and then pull the trigger sometime in the future. Yeah. Oh, we almost forgot jokes. Weatherman, thanks for reminding me. Thanks. Yeah. Good
betrayed.
job.
Utterly betrayed.
The truth is, I wouldn't have forgotten. I have them right here. I just pretend. I try to give Cam hope that we won't have a joke, and then I snatch it away. Ha! They have to listen to a joke. All right. So all of our jokes today, of course, are related to the topic, to AI. All right, Cam, which joke do you want? Do you want 1, 2, or 3? Choose your poison.
2.
2. What do you call an AI that tells jokes?
I don't know. What do you call an AI that tells jokes?
A punderful machine. Get it? Pun, because it's a pun. Punderful, like wonderful.
Well, jokes and puns aren't really the same, technically.
That wasn't a very good joke. You picked a bad one. All right, so I'll read the other 2.
Oh, it's my fault. Okay, sure. Go ahead. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Why did the AI break up with its partner?
I don't know. Why did Colossus break up with Guardian?
It found someone more compatible. Get it? Computers are like compatible. They have to be compatible with each other.
Yeah.
That's not very good either, is it?
Hmm.
Okay, this one I saved the best to the last. You're gonna like this one. No, spoiler alert, he's not gonna like it. Why was the computer cold?
I don't know. Why was the computer cold?
It left its windows open. Get it? Windows. It left Windows. Microsoft Windows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No.
Great. Yeah. Fantastic.
Those jokes were written by an AI. So.
Okay.
No, they actually weren't, but there was a bunch of jokes that were written by AI, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not gonna get those.
Okay, hold on. Wait a minute. 1 second. 1 second. I'm gonna do this right now. Okay. Here. I got a joke. You ready?
Oh no.
Why did the AI go to therapy?
Oh, I don't know. Why did the AI go to therapy?
It had an identity crisis after being asked too many times if it was human.
Oh.
All right.
There you go, folks. Cam's no better at it than me.
Thanks, Grok.
Yeah, there's some AI jokes I didn't even bother to go. I'm pretty sure they sucked. Yeah. All right. Okay, that's it for the show, everybody. Thanks for coming out. We hope you appreciated it. A little bit long on this one, but yeah, we're having a good discussion. That's part of what we do. Yeah. Hopefully we'll see you next time. We'll see you on Wednesday for Grow Pros, the infantry of Babylon 5, and then next week, surprise topic. Who knows what it'll be like? I want to talk about demon hunters, but I don't know if Cam does. We'll figure out something. All right.
Okay. Yeah, and thanks everyone in the chat. Very excellent discussion. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate your points and just all the information about the movie and the actors and stuff. Oh, I wanted to mention that guy. I never. Did you notice Dr. Chin, James Hong?
Oh yeah, yep.
Chin? Like, hey, I see that guy as the evil guy in every movie, and I'm like, it's good to see
he's
him.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's great. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
People